Hi, I'm Tiffany. Today, I'm going to show you how to work with place value. Place value. In math, place value is a term that you're going to hear a lot. Place value is really just a big fancy way of saying the name of the place that any particular number is in. Let me bring up a chart that I created so you can understand what I'm talking about. Here I have a really big number. This number is 8,516,702 and 61,492 hundred thousandths. This number has several different place values. Every single place or every single digit that you see here, the 8, the 5, the 1, the 6, all of the digits, all are in a particular place, and the place has its own name. Let's start with the 2. The 2 is in the ones place. I want to start with the 2 because it's going to be the most familiar number that you're used to working with. When you learn to count, you learn to count starting with numbers that are in the ones place. So when you're a little baby, you started with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. Those are single digit numbers. A single digit number is going to be in the ones place, okay? Then once a number gets to be 2 digits, that first digit is in the tens place. 3-digit numbers, the very first digit is in the hundreds place. If we have another place, that next place is the thousands, then the 10,000s, then the 100,000s, then the millions place. Okay? I'm going to come back over to our decimal. Our decimal is not a place, but you do refer to it as something very particular when you're saying a number. We refer to our decimal as and. Okay? I decided to put this one in red just to make sure you understand that it's a little different. You do want to make sure you name your decimal, but you don't say 702 decimal and so on and so on. Whenever you get to a decimal in a number, the formal way to address it is by saying the word and. Okay? Now, let's go on to the names of the place values to the right of the decimal. These values all have values that are smaller than 1. Okay? The 6 is in the tenths place. And I underline the THS here because this THS is something that you're only going to see on the right side of the decimal. Okay? The 1 is in the hundredths place. The 4 is in the thousandths place. The 9 is in the 10,000ths place. And the 2 is in the 100,000ths place. If you notice, these place names are very, very, very similar to the place names on the left side. The only difference is they end in a THS. So we have a tenths place here, and there's a tens place here. There's a hundredths place here, and the next one after the tens over here was the hundreds. We had thousands, then over here was thousands, 10,000s matches, as well as 100,000s. And this goes on both sides. This goes further to the right as well as further this way. After millions would be 10 millions. But for all simple purposes, we're just going to stick with this right here. At this level, generally, we're just going to be dealing with the numbers that are in this range. Let's move on to some examples so we can work with place value a little bit more. Example number 1. Example number 1 says, write the name of the place value of the underlined digit. Then write the value of that digit. Okay, so we want to remember our chart from the last slide. We have a 5 that is underlined, and they want us to write the name of that place. Now, if you remember, the decimal was our place where we refer to and, but the position directly to the left of the decimal where this 6 is, that was the ones place. And then if you went 2 columns over from the decimal, that was the tens place. So they want the name of the place, so I'm going to write tens place in, okay? Here I go. Take my pen. Then write the value of that digit. Okay, what do they mean when they say write the value of that digit? Let me tell you what they mean. Every single number here, every digit you see, the 1, the 2, the 0, the 5, 6, and the 3, they all have a value that it gives this particular number. This 6 tells you that this whole number has a value of 6 in it, just 6 ones. So that means it gives you a value of just plain old 6. But the 5, it tells you that you have a value of 5 tens. So what that means is this 5 gives this overall problem a value of 50. Okay? So I'm going to write that in because that's the second part of my answer, 50. So what value does this 5 give this entire problem? It gives me a value of 50. Before I move on, I'll just say, just for an example, this 2 gives this overall number a value of 2,000. It lets you know that there's 2,000s in here. If you're familiar with expanded form, this may make a little more sense to you when I'm talking about the 50, because you'd write it out. 10,000 plus 2,000 plus 50 plus 6, and so on. So we're taking the value that this individual number gives and pointing it out. That's all we're doing. Let's move on to example number 2. Example number 2. It says write the name of the place of the underlined digit, then write the value of that digit. So we're doing the same thing as last time. The name of the place of the underlined digit, okay? We're 2 spaces to the right of the decimal, okay? If you remembered on that chart, on the direct left side of our decimal, we had a ones position, but on our right side, we don't start with like a ones place. I just made that up. There is no ones place, okay? You start with tens. So before, in example number 1, we were 2 spaces to the left, but this time we're 2 spaces to the right. So just because we're 2 spaces over doesn't mean it's going to be the exact mirror opposite. It's not going to be the tenths. We're actually in the hundredths place. But if that becomes too confusing for you, just remember the chart from the original slide, and you'll remember that the second digit to the right of your decimal is the hundredths place. So I'm going to write that in. Hundredths place. So it's spelled the same as 100, but you just add a THS at the end. The second part of our question is write the value that the digit gives. In this case, this 800ths looks exactly like how I just explained. It looks like 800ths. So really, giving the value of that digit means make every other digit in the number 0. Okay, that's what I did. If I make all of these whole numbers 0, I really don't have to write them anymore. I just wrote a single one to represent that there's nothing here, and then the 8 is just rewritten. Let's move on to example number 3. Example number 3. Write the name of the place of the underlined digit, then write the value of that digit. The 7 is in the hundreds place. Okay, the hundredths place. Then write the value of that digit, and the value of that digit, the 7 would be 700, because that 7 is telling you that you have 7 hundreds. Okay, if I had literally 700s or $700 bills, how much would that be? That'd be $700. Okay, let's move on to example number 4. Example number 4. Write the name of the place of the underlined digit. The name of the place of the underlined digit, let's see, this is the hundred thousands place. Let's write that. hundred thousandths place, and the value of it is 900,000. Okay, so that's going to look like this. $900,000. Moving on to example number 5. Write the name of the place of the underlined digit. Same directions, remember? So the name of the place value of this underlined 2 is 10 thousandths. I'm going to write that in. The value of the 2 is 2 10,000ths. That's my last example. Thanks for watching.